who intended to sell her to an old man. When Rose confronted her mother about her actions, she discovered that she was not her biological child. Overwhelmed by a mix of anger and disappointment, Rose managed to escape the room with her last shred of clarity. Outside, she unexpectedly encountered Jack, who had also been drugged, and the two shared a night of passion. When Rose woke up, Jack gave her $200 million as compensation. However, Rose stated that she only needed $2 million, the price her mother had sold her for. She hoped to use this money to make her mother stop abandoning her. Jack, noticing that Rose was entirely different from the vain women he had encountered before, proposed marriage to her. When Rose returned home with $2 million, her family's attitude shifted drastically. They began fawning over her in every possible way. However, Rose overheard them in a corner, plotting to continue exploiting her for money. Her heart sank, and with tears in her eyes, she called Jack, determined to sever ties with her family. Jack came to pick Rose up, but the scene was witnessed by her younger sister, Amy, who misunderstood and thought Rose had latched onto an old man. Jack gently carried Rose to the bed and leaned in to kiss her, leaving Rose so nervous she didn't know what to do. He tapped her nose lightly and said with a smile, "Let's go get our marriage certificate this weekend." He also invited her to intern at his company. However, upon arriving at the company, Rose unexpectedly encountered Amy, who had also joined as an intern. Amy, having secured her position through her boyfriend's connections, looked down on Rose. When Rose mentioned that she was personally recommended by the CEO, Jack, Amy sneered, and the others dismissed her claim as nonsense. The HR manager even stepped in, intending to have Rose thrown out of the company. Just then, the department director arrived and warned everyone that none of them had the authority to make Rose leave. Amy, however, assumed the director was the man Rose was clinging to and made disrespectful remarks. Feeling utterly helpless, Rose was relieved when Jack appeared. He immediately ordered Amy and her boyfriend to be removed from the company. It was only then that the HR manager realized Rose was under Jack's protection. Terrified, the manager knelt and begged for forgiveness but was still mercilessly fired by Jack. Once they entered the office, Jack pulled Rose onto his lap. His assistant immediately covered their eyes and thoughtfully closed the door behind them. Rose reminded Jack not to be too affectionate in a workplace setting, but Jack merely chuckled and said he was just helping her fix her hair. Jack's mother was furious upon learning about her son's sudden marriage and decided to disguise herself as a company cleaner to personally evaluate Rose. However, she was bullied by a female manager, who falsely accused her of breaking her bracelet and demanded compensation. Unable to stand by, Rose stepped in to defend Jack's mother, immediately pointing out that the manager's bracelet was a fake and not worth much. Embarrassed by being exposed, the manager flew into a rage and called security, intending to throw both Rose and Jack's mother out. At that moment, Jack's mother revealed her true identity, but the manager responded with mockery, clearly thinking she was spouting nonsense. It wasn't until Jack arrived and stopped the security guards that the situation was resolved. He brought the two women to his office and scolded his mother, teasing her for playing cosplay at her age. It was then that Rose learned the cleaner was actually Jack's mother. Impressed by Rose's courage and sense of justice, Jack's mother's opinion of her greatly improved, and she invited Rose to her upcoming birthday banquet. Rose planned to choose a meaningful gift for Jack's mother's birthday and decided on a valuable antique. Jack took her to an antique shop, where Rose immediately picked out the most expensive item, a jade ruby. The shop owner, impressed by Rose's remarkable talent for antique appraisal, decided to gift the jade ruby to her. On the day of the birthday banquet, Jack's mother entered the venue with Rose, only to be stopped once again by the same female manager from before. Still unaware of their true identities, the manager mocked them with sharp words, but Jack's mother responded by slapping her and declaring, "How dare a mere manager disrespect the president's wife?" Furious, the manager insisted their claims were fake and demanded security throw them out. Just then, Jack arrived and stopped the security guards. Seizing the moment, the manager eagerly presented her gift to Jack's mother, a jade ruby. Rose instantly recognized it as a counterfeit and took out the real jade ruby she had chosen earlier. The manager tried to defend herself, but Rose pretended to call the antique shop owner for verification. Panicked, the manager's lie was exposed. Jack then revealed that he had personally accompanied Rose to select the ruby, confirming her identity as his wife. Only then did the manager realize the truth. Humiliated, the female manager, along with Amy and her family, was ruthlessly thrown out of the banquet. However, Jack's younger brother, Jason, was not willing to let Rose off easily. He brought in a renowned jewelry appraiser, who, after examining the jade ruby, declared it to be a fake. everyone began to suspect that Rose, driven by greed, had secretly swapped out the original. Rose was left speechless and unable to defend herself. At that moment, the owner of the antique shop suddenly arrived. Jack had notified him in advance. As soon as he appeared, the owner furiously denounced the so-called appraiser as nothing more than a fraud who exploited his mentor's reputation to deceive others. The owner's testimony not only revealed the appraiser's lies but also proved Rose's innocence. The antique shop owner then invited Rose to become his apprentice. Overjoyed, Rose eagerly accepted and shared her determination to become a master in the field of antiques with Jack. However, Jack pulled her into his arms and said that before she became a master, she should fulfill her duties as his wife. With that, he kissed her passionately. Later that night, after Rose fell asleep, Jack quietly began investigating her background. He suspected that Rose might be the long-lost daughter of the antique shop owner. Meanwhile, Jason learned of Jack's actions and began scheming to interfere. Under the guidance of the antique shop owner, Rose's skills improved rapidly, and the owner couldn't help but notice how much Rose resembled his late wife. To broaden Rose's horizons, the owner took her to an antique auction. Rose's sharp eye allowed her to discern the authenticity of the items with ease. When a priceless blue and white porcelain piece was brought out, Amy suddenly made an appearance, claiming that the antique was a fake. However, Rose firmly disagreed with her assessment. Amy, however, wasn't truly concerned about the authenticity of the porcelain. Her real intention was to grab the antique shop owner's attention and reveal her true identity, that she was the daughter he had lost years ago. To support her claim, Amy presented what she claimed to be a paternity test. Rose was left at a loss, unsure of what to do, but Jack stepped forward and declared that Rose was the real daughter of the antique shop owner. A heated argument broke out between the two sides. Just then, Rose's adoptive mother appeared, bringing with her photos of Amy from her childhood. The photos bore an uncanny resemblance to the antique shop owner's daughter as a child. Convinced by the evidence, the antique shop owner believed Amy to be his daughter and embraced her, weeping with joy. However, Jack suddenly interrupted their reunion and instructed his assistant to produce another paternity test. This one clearly stated that Rose was the antique shop owner's biological daughter, while Amy's test was revealed to be forged. The truth was finally uncovered. Amy's claim had been a lie, and her family immediately knelt down, confessing that Jason was the mastermind behind the scheme. Jason, fearing that Rose's true identity would be revealed and further strengthen Jack's position, had orchestrated the deception. Jack's mother was deeply disappointed in Jason, furious at his failures and declaring that she would never entrust the company to him. This declaration planted malicious intent in Jason's heart. Noticing Jack's mother was in a bad mood, Rose prepared a pot of soup especially for her. Touched by Rose's thoughtfulness, Jack's mother felt a rare moment of comfort. However, shortly after drinking the soup, she suddenly collapsed in excruciating pain. Jack rushed her to the hospital, where the doctor informed him that the soup had been poisoned. To make matters worse, a servant at home accused Rose of being the one who had laced the soup with poison, leaving Rose defenseless against the accusation. With a grim expression, Jack told Rose to return to her father's house for a while, his real intention being to keep her away from the dangerous and turbulent situation in his family. However, Rose misunderstood his actions, thinking that Jack no longer trusted her. Jack confronted Jason and deliberately revealed that he had already traced the source of the poison, confidently stating that following this lead would inevitably uncover the culprit. Panicked, Jason immediately sought out the person who had supplied him with the poison, urging the individual to leave the city as soon as possible. However, Jack had anticipated this move and caught the entire exchange on tape. He then presented the evidence to his mother. Heartbroken by Jason's attempt to poison her, Jack's mother rebuked him, saying that his actions had deeply wounded her. She made a decisive announcement. She would split all her assets equally between Jack and Rose. As for Jason, she severed all ties with him and banished him from the family. Meanwhile, at her father's house, Rose appeared distracted and preoccupied. Noticing her mood, her father tried to comfort her by presenting all his assets, assuring her that even without Jack he could provide her with a wealthy and comfortable life. However, Rose still couldn't stop thinking about Jack. After resolving everything, Jack arrived at Rose's father's home to see her. He invited her to go on a honeymoon with him, which delighted her father. But to Jack's surprise, Rose turned him down, looking slightly uneasy. Moments later, she revealed that she had been feeling nauseous. She was pregnant and likely wouldn't be able to travel for the time being.